Today, I want to talk to you about clarity, about seeking focus and direction in a world that feels noisy, rushed, and uncertain. So many people wake up in the morning feeling overwhelmed. There are decisions to make, responsibilities to carry, distractions pulling at their attention. It's easy to feel scattered, unsure of which way to go. But here's the good news: our God is not the author of confusion. He is the God of clarity. When you seek Him first, He will light up the path before you. You may not see the whole journey, but He'll give you the next right step. When you quiet your mind and open your heart, direction will come, peace will come, focus will come. This morning prayer is about aligning your thoughts with God's purpose. It's about asking Him to remove the fog, silence the distractions, and give you divine insight for this day. When you start your morning with clarity, you step into your day with confidence, knowing that the same God who ordered the universe is ordering your steps. Get ready. Today is a day of focus, favor, and fresh direction. God is not the author of confusion. When you feel overwhelmed, scattered, unsure of which direction to take, that is not coming from Him. Our God is a God of order. He created the universe with precision. He placed the stars in the sky, set the planets in motion, and told the oceans how far they could go. Everything He does has purpose, design, and intention. So when your thoughts feel tangled and your heart feels restless, you can be confident that the confusion is not from your Heavenly Father. Confusion often shows up when we try to carry what was never meant for us to carry. We try to figure everything out in our own strength. We replay situations in our minds, overanalyze conversations, worry about outcomes, and attempt to control what only God can control. The more we strive in our own understanding, the more unclear things seem to become. But when you surrender it back to Him, something shifts. Peace begins to replace pressure. Calm begins to quiet the chaos. You realize that clarity doesn't come from striving harder. It comes from trusting deeper. The enemy thrives in confusion. He wants you second, guessing your worth, doubting your calling, questioning whether you heard God correctly. He whispers lies that make you feel behind, overlooked, or unqualified. But those thoughts are not aligned with who God says you are. God's voice brings assurance. His direction brings stability. Even when He stretches you, there is still a deep sense of peace attached to it. You may not know every detail, but you know in your spirit that He is guiding you. Sometimes confusion comes because we are listening to too many voices. Social media opinions, family expectations, cultural pressure, fear of missing out, all of it creates noise. When every voice has an opinion about what you should do, where you should go, who you should become, it can cloud your vision. But God's voice is steady. It's consistent. It doesn't compete with the noise. It cuts through it with clarity. When you spend time in prayer, when you open your heart to Him first thing in the morning, you create space to hear the voice that truly matters. God's direction may not always be loud, but it will always be clear. He may guide you with a gentle nudge, a sense of peace about a decision, or an inner knowing that this is the way to go. Clarity doesn't always mean you have a detailed blueprint of the next 10 years. Often, it simply means you have confidence about the next step. And that is enough. God leads us step by step because He wants us to depend on Him daily. If He showed you everything at once, you wouldn't need faith. When you're walking in confusion, it drains your energy. You feel mentally exhausted from trying to solve problems that aren't yours to solve. But when you remind yourself that God is in control, you can release that weight. You can say, "Father, I trust you to order my steps. I trust you to open the right doors and close the wrong ones." That kind of trust brings freedom. It lifts the burden of having to know it all and replaces it with the confidence that He already does. Clarity also comes when you align your life with God's principles. When your priorities reflect His values, decisions become simpler. When you choose integrity, kindness, faith, and obedience, you eliminate many of the distractions that create confusion. It's easier to know which path to take when you've already committed to honoring Him in everything you do. Alignment produces focus. Focus produces clarity. There will be seasons when the path seems unclear, when doors close and plans change unexpectedly. In those moments, it's easy to assume something has gone wrong. But sometimes what feels like confusion is actually transition. God may be rearranging things behind the scenes. He may be protecting you from something you can't see or preparing you for something greater. Even then, He is not the author of confusion. He is the author of your story, and He writes it with purpose. When you choose to believe that God is guiding you, even when you can't see the full picture, you step out of confusion and into faith. Faith says, I don't have all the answers, but I know the one who does. Faith allows you to move forward without fear. It gives you the courage to make decisions without being paralyzed by doubt. It reminds you that God's plan for your life is good, and He is faithful to complete what He started. You don't have to wake up each day feeling lost or uncertain. You can start your morning declaring that God is directing your steps. You can ask Him for wisdom, and He will give it generously. You can trust that if a door is meant for you, no one can shut it, and if it's not meant for you, no amount of striving will force it open. That confidence eliminates confusion. When your mind begins to race and anxiety tries to take over, pause and remember who your Father is. He is steady, He is faithful, He is intentional. Nothing about your life is random to Him. Every detail matters. Every prayer is heard, every step is ordered. Even when you can't trace His hand, you can trust His heart. And as you lean into that trust, confusion loses its grip, and clarity begins to rise within you. Clarity comes when you seek Him first. So often we seek answers before we seek God. We look for advice from friends, scroll through opinions online, analyze every possible outcome, and try to reason our way into peace. Yet true clarity is not found in more information, it is found in divine alignment. When you put God first at the start of your day, before the notifications, before the conversations, before the pressures begin to rise, something powerful happens within you. Your spirit becomes grounded, your thoughts begin to settle, your priorities shift into proper order. Seeking Him first is an act of trust. It's saying, God, before I make decisions, before I react, before I step into this day, I want your direction. That posture invites His wisdom into every area of your life. Instead of rushing ahead and asking Him to bless your plans, you allow Him to establish your steps. And when He establishes your steps, there is a confidence that cannot be shaken by temporary uncertainty. You may not know every detail of what lies ahead, but you know you are being guided. Many times the reason we feel scattered is because we are trying to divide our focus between too many things. We wake up already thinking about deadlines, responsibilities, expectations, and what could go wrong. Our minds begin racing before our feet even touch the ground. But when you choose to seek God first, you are intentionally slowing down the chaos. You are reminding yourself that He is the source of your strength, your provision, and your wisdom. That moment of connection recalibrates your perspective. Clarity doesn't always arrive as a dramatic revelation. Often it comes as peace, it comes as a quiet assurance that you are on the right path. When you seek Him first, you begin to recognize that peace as confirmation. Even in the middle of important decisions, you can sense whether something aligns with His direction or not. That inner stillness becomes a compass. Without seeking Him, it's easy to mistake pressure for purpose or urgency for calling. But when you have spent time in His presence, you can discern the difference. Seeking God first also protects you from unnecessary detours. There are opportunities that look attractive on the surface, but are not meant for you. There are paths that seem promising, but would lead you away from your assignment. When your heart is aligned with Him, you are less likely to chase what glitters and more likely to pursue what truly matters. Clarity gives you the courage to say no to distractions so you can say yes to destiny. When you seek Him first, you are not just asking for direction, you are building relationship. You are learning His voice. The more time you spend with Him, the more familiar that voice becomes. You begin to notice how He nudges you, how He redirects you, how He opens and closes doors. That familiarity removes doubt. Instead of wondering whether it's just your imagination, you grow confident in recognizing His guidance. Relationship produces recognition, and recognition produces clarity. There is also a shift that happens internally when you put Him first. Anxiety begins to lose its grip. Fear no longer has the loudest voice in your mind. You are reminded that the same God who holds the universe together is holding your life together. That awareness settles your thoughts. It allows you to approach challenges with faith instead of panic. You stop reacting out of emotion and start responding out of wisdom. Seeking Him first reorders your desires. Sometimes confusion comes because we want something so badly that we ignore the warning signs. We convince ourselves that it must be right because we desire it strongly. But when you place your desires before God and genuinely invite His will above your own, He refines your heart. He aligns your wants with His purpose. What once seemed urgent may no longer feel necessary. What once felt uncertain may suddenly feel clear. That inner alignment simplifies decisions that once seemed complicated. In a world that constantly demands your attention, seeking God first is a bold choice. It's choosing spiritual focus over digital distraction. It's choosing eternal perspective over temporary pressure. It's declaring that clarity is more valuable than speed. When you operate from that place, your day unfolds differently. Even if unexpected challenges arise, you are not easily shaken because your foundation was established in His presence. You don't have to strive for clarity as if it's something distant or hidden. When you seek Him first, clarity becomes a natural byproduct of relationship. You begin to move with intention instead of hesitation. You make choices with confidence instead of confusion. You walk forward knowing that you are not navigating life alone. Each morning becomes an opportunity to reset your focus, to realign your heart, and to invite His wisdom into every conversation, every task, every decision. And as you continue to place Him first day after day, you will find that direction becomes clearer, distractions become fewer, and your path becomes steadier because your life is anchored in one who sees the beginning from the end silence, the noise to hear God's voice. We are living in a time where noise is constant. From the moment we wake up, notifications begin to flash, messages demand responses, news headlines compete for our attention, and responsibilities line up in our minds. The world is loud, fast, and relentless. If we are not intentional, that external noise becomes internal noise. Our thoughts start racing, our emotions feel crowded, our focus becomes scattered. In that environment, it becomes difficult to recognize the gentle whisper of God's direction. God does not compete with chaos. His voice is steady, calm, and clear. It doesn't force its way into your life, it waits for invitation. When your mind is filled with every other voice, it's not that God has stopped speaking. It's that the volume of distraction has been turned up too high. Silencing the noise is not about escaping responsibility. It's about creating space. It's about choosing moments of stillness where your heart can settle and your spirit can tune in to what truly matters. Noise doesn't always come from outside sources. Sometimes it comes from within. Past disappointments replay in your mind. Future worries try to predict every possible outcome. Self-doubt questions your ability. Comparison measures your progress against someone else's highlight reel. These inner voices can be just as loud as any external distraction. If left unchecked, they shape your perspective and influence your decisions. When you intentionally quiet those thoughts and bring them before God, clarity begins to replace confusion. Silencing the noise requires discipline. It may mean turning off your phone for a few minutes in the morning before you start your day. It may mean stepping away from constant entertainment and choosing time in prayer instead. It may mean refusing to engage in conversations that stir up negativity and doubt. Those small choices protect your focus. They guard your peace. They allow you to hear the wisdom that has been there all along. When you slow down and become still, you begin to notice things you previously overlooked. You sense nudges in your spirit. You feel prompted to take a certain step or avoid a certain direction. That sensitivity grows stronger the more you practice stillness. Just as a radio must be tuned to the right frequency to receive a clear signal, your heart must be tuned through quietness to receive God's guidance. Without that tuning, everything sounds distorted. There is a difference between busyness and purpose. Busyness keeps you moving, but not necessarily progressing. It fills your schedule, but not your spirit. When you operate in constant noise, you may accomplish tasks yet miss direction. You may meet deadlines yet overlook divine appointments. Silencing the noise helps you distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. It reminds you that not every opportunity deserves your energy, and not every opinion deserves your attention. Sometimes we fear silence because it forces us to confront what we've been avoiding. In the quiet, insecurities surface. Unresolved emotions come into focus. Questions we've pushed aside begin to rise, but that is not something to fear. In stillness, God gently brings healing. He reveals truth that sets you free from limiting beliefs. He replaces lies with assurance. The noise may distract you temporarily, but only stillness transforms you deeply. When you make room for quiet moments with God, you strengthen your spiritual discernment. You begin to sense when something aligns with His will and when it doesn't. Decisions that once felt overwhelming become clearer. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. Instead of chasing every open door, you wait for confirmation. That patience protects you from unnecessary detours and emotional exhaustion. Silencing the noise also changes how you interact with others. When your heart is calm, you are less reactive. You listen more carefully. You respond with grace instead of frustration. You carry a peace that influences the atmosphere around you. People may not understand why you seem steady under pressure, but it's because your foundation was built in quiet communion rather than constant commotion. In a culture that celebrates constant connectivity, choosing silence can feel countercultural, yet it is in that sacred quiet that strength is renewed. It is there that creativity flows more freely, solutions become clearer, and courage rises. The more you prioritize those moments, the more you realize how essential they are. Noise drains, stillness restores. You don't have to withdraw from the world to hear God's voice, but you do have to intentionally create room for it. Even brief pauses throughout your day can recalibrate your spirit. A whispered prayer before a meeting, a deep breath and moment of gratitude in the middle of a busy afternoon, a few minutes of reflection before bed. These small practices keep your heart aligned and your ears attentive. When the noise decreases, your confidence increases. You stop second, guessing every decision. You begin to trust the peace within you. You recognize that clarity was never about gathering more information but about hearing the right voice. And as you continue choosing stillness over chaos, you find that direction becomes more consistent, your faith becomes stronger, and your steps become more intentional because your heart has learned to listen beyond the noise, one clear step of faith at a time. So often we want the full picture before we are willing to move. We want guarantees, detailed plans, confirmation after confirmation. We tell ourselves that once everything makes sense, then we will step forward. But faith doesn't operate that way. Faith is not about seeing the entire staircase. It's about trusting God enough to take the next step, even when the rest is hidden. Clarity in your life rarely comes all at once. It unfolds as you move. God's guidance is usually progressive. He gives you enough light for today, not for the next 10 years. If He showed you every twist and turn, it might overwhelm you or even intimidate you. Instead, He invites you into a daily walk of dependence, one decision, one act of obedience, one response of trust. That single step may seem small, but small steps taken consistently in faith lead to extraordinary destinations. When you focus on the entire journey, it can feel intimidating. The dreams in your heart may look too big. The obstacles may appear too strong. The resources may seem insufficient. But when you narrow your focus to just the next clear instruction God has placed before you, the pressure lifts. You're no longer trying to solve everything. You're simply choosing obedience in this moment. That kind of focus strengthens your confidence. Faith requires movement. You cannot steer a parked car. When you begin to act on what you believe God has shown you, even in a small way, momentum begins to build. Doors start to open, opportunities align, new insights become available. Often, the clarity you are waiting for is on the other side of your willingness to move. As long as you remain stuck in hesitation, everything feels uncertain. But once you take that first step, the next one becomes easier to see. There will be moments when fear tries to hold you back. Fear will remind you of past failures. It will highlight what could go wrong. It will exaggerate risks and minimize your strengths. But faith focuses on who is guiding you rather than what is surrounding you. You are not stepping forward alone. The same God who called you is equipping you. He is preparing the way ahead of you even when you cannot see it. Taking one clear step of faith also protects you from comparison. When you look at someone else's journey, it's easy to feel behind or inadequate. You see their results but not their process. You see the destination but not the countless steps they took to get there. Your path is unique. Your timing is specific. When you stay focused on the step God has placed in front of you, you stop measuring your progress against others and start embracing your own growth. Sometimes the step of faith is internal before it is external. It may be choosing to forgive when resentment feels justified. It may be deciding to believe again after disappointment. It may be speaking words of hope over your situation instead of words of defeat. These inner steps create outer change. They shift your mindset and prepare you for visible breakthroughs. Clarity grows with obedience. Each time you respond to God's prompting, your sensitivity to His voice increases. You begin to recognize patterns of His faithfulness. You remember how He guided you before, how He made a way when there seemed to be none. Those memories fuel courage for the next step. Instead of demanding certainty, you lean into trust. There will be seasons when the step feels small and unnoticed. You may wonder if it even matters, but small acts of faith accumulate. They shape your character, they build resilience, they deepen your reliance on God. Just because something feels ordinary does not mean it lacks significance. Often, the most powerful growth happens quietly, one decision at a time. When you limit your focus to the next clear step, you also guard your peace. Anxiety often comes from trying to control outcomes that are beyond your reach. Faith releases that need for control. It says, God, I will do my part, and I trust you with the rest. That surrender brings calm. It allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary weight. You may not feel fully prepared. You may not have every answer, but you have enough grace for today. The step in front of you is not there by accident. It is part of a larger design that is unfolding according to God's wisdom. As you continue to respond with trust, step after step, you will look back and realize how each small act of obedience formed a path you could never have constructed on your own. And while the full journey remains in His hands, your responsibility remains simple and powerful: to keep moving forward, one clear step of faith at a time, trusting that as you move, He continues to guide, strengthen, and position you for what lies ahead. Trust God to order your steps. Life can feel unpredictable at times. Plans change, doors close, unexpected challenges arise, and it's easy to wonder if you're moving in the right direction. But when you truly trust that God is ordering your steps, you begin to see your journey differently. You understand that not every delay is a denial, and not every closed door is a loss. Some things are divine redirections, carefully arranged to align you with a greater purpose. Trusting God to order your steps means releasing the need to control every detail. It means acknowledging that His perspective is higher than yours. You see a moment, He sees a lifetime. You see a problem, He sees the solution already in motion. When you surrender your timeline and expectations to Him, you free yourself from constant striving. You stop forcing outcomes and start following His lead with confidence. There will be times when the path feels uncertain. You may not understand why certain opportunities didn't work out, or why certain relationships shifted. In those moments, trust becomes a choice. It's easy to trust when everything is clear and favorable. It takes maturity to trust when things are unclear. Yet those seasons are often where your faith deepens the most. When you cannot trace His hand, you learn to trust His heart. God orders your steps not only through open doors, but also through closed ones. A rejection may be protection, a delay may be preparation, a setback may be positioning you for something better suited to your calling. When you look back over your life, you can likely see moments that didn't make sense at the time, but later revealed their purpose. What once felt like disappointment became direction. What once felt like loss became liberation. Trusting God also means believing that where you are right now is not random. Even if it's not your final destination, it is part of the process. The lessons you are learning, the skills you are developing, the character being shaped within you, all of it matters. Nothing is wasted when God is involved. Every experience is being woven into a larger plan that is unfolding step by step. When you trust Him to order your steps, you no longer have to compare your timeline with someone else's. You understand that each person's journey is uniquely designed. What comes quickly for one may take longer for another, but timing in God's hands is purposeful. Instead of feeling behind, you begin to feel positioned. Instead of feeling overlooked, you recognize that preparation often happens in hidden places. There is peace in knowing that you are guided. Even when you make mistakes, God is able to redirect you. His grace is greater than your missteps. Trust does not mean you will never face challenges. It means you believe those challenges are not greater than His ability to guide you through them. When you stumble, He steadies you. When you feel uncertain, He reassures you. When you are tempted to give up, He strengthens you. Trust also changes how you make decisions. Instead of acting out of fear or pressure, you pause and seek His wisdom. You ask for clarity before moving forward. That intentional dependence invites His involvement. It shifts your focus from immediate gratification to long-term purpose. You begin to weigh choices differently, prioritizing alignment over applause. As you continue walking in trust, your confidence grows. Not confidence in your own ability to control outcomes, but confidence in His faithfulness. You remember the times He made a way when there seemed to be none. You recall how certain doors opened at exactly the right moment. Those memories become anchors during uncertain seasons. They remind you that He has been guiding you all along, Trusting God to order your steps doesn't remove responsibility from you. You still take action, you still work diligently, you still pursue growth, but your effort is no longer driven by anxiety. It is fueled by faith. You move forward knowing that your steps are being directed by a loving Father who desires your good. That assurance quiets the fear of making the wrong choice, because you know He is capable of adjusting your path. There is a freedom that comes with surrender. You are no longer burdened by the weight of figuring everything out. You release the illusion of control and embrace the reality of divine guidance. Each day becomes an opportunity to walk with confidence, knowing that even the smallest details are seen and cared for. And as you continue placing your trust in Him, you discover that your journey is not a series of random events, but a carefully